next question is, can you talk about your work in the book, Elk Morning Counts as First Coup?
Yeah, that was super challenging. So Aaron Bryn and his sister have been my friends. His sister's name is Luella. They've been my friends for a really long time. Um geez, probably literally 20 years. It's weird to say that. But they we kind of all watched each other grow up, I guess, since 20 years, and so I will ask him a lot of information because he's an anthropologist, and so he's, aside from the things that he got taught as a child and then before college, he was able to supplement that with all of his academics, and so he's a really, really great resource for historic information. And because the majority of my growing up was spent on Western Montana. I didn't get a lot of that from Crow, but I did get some here and there from different grandparents or different aunts and uncles would try to tell me, but it's so hard to remember when I'm not around it every day. And so he helped me to get a hold of some certain landscape pictures, and I'm really, really inspired by the land. And so I wanted to incorporate that into the so what the I don't know what they're called, authors, maybe the writers of the book, the authors.
Yep.
They gave me a prompt, and they didn't draw nothing out at all. They gave me a prompt, and then I was supposed to produce what they were talking about. That was really hard because I didn't have no pictures to start with, and that's really hard.
Wow.
And so what I did is I took pictures of older people from like the early 1800s, and then I took pictures that I found from either Aaron or I don't know, just like ones that I knew that are of that specific area. And then I was able to create something that looked familiar. And I just think it's important to have um, a reference to the land, or be able to visualize that. And even when you're little, like, you don't always know why a land, what is it, a landform? There's a different name for it. You don't know why a landform is important, but you know that everybody thinks it's important. And
Sure.
every now and again, you'll get told those stories, like why a certain mountain is revered, or why a certain place, that you go to is, you have to stop and do something there before you go past it. You don't always know, but as you get older, you start learning those stories. So I try to put some of the places into the book, just because, everybody thinks that they're super sacred or super important, or it's very identifying of Crow land. And so that was like my whole goal, was to put that in there. And those things are empowering to not just youth, but just to people in general.
That makes sense. Can you give us an example of a couple of landforms that you put in there in the pictures that maybe we could speak to as we take a
Well,
look at
one of them, I don't know the story. Wait, maybe I did hear the story. I don't remember the story. I've been told it one time. One thing that's important is remembering old campsites, and a lot of the towns that you find today, they're where old campsites were, because the campsite was never just a random place. It was always like a place that had accessibility to our basic needs. So water is one of those things. And so that area over there in Pryor, those rocks that they call Castle Rocks, it was also an identifier of a campsite that was, I think, on the back side of that. And I didn't have, maybe I did. I'm trying to remember that far back. I don't know if I had a picture of that backside. I feel like I did, but that's what I tried to depict, was that campsite there. Those type of places are really important for indigenous peoples, and even today. And as the story goes, it's not just like, if you look in Montana, here's a good way to see it. If you look on Montana, you'll notice that a lot of times, especially on Western Montana, if you travel like every 15 miles between, so like if you were to start, let's say like in Missoula, and you went out in one direction, like 15 miles, you're probably going to run into a town.
Right.
That was a campsite before it was a town. So that goes true all the way across Indian country. Those are good places for to be able to like be there for a while. So with those references in mind, you know, it's helps you to have a tie to the land. And even though maybe it, like what I just said, like I heard the story and I already forgot it, or maybe the story was just that's where the campsite was, and maybe that's why I don't have a story. They just told me that's where it was, that's where we used to camp, and I'm like, oh, okay. Those things help you have a tie to the land, and having that tie gives you a sense of place, which gives you that basic understanding of where you belong. And then where you belong helps you to gain a better sense of self-identity or self-actualization, and it helps you to grow further. Like then you're like, okay, I know that part, now I can do other things, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you're really drawing on deep connections to the land with your artwork. That's very neat.
Yeah, there's another, so that first picture that's in that book, it has a
Is it this one? Oh, she's good.
yeah, it has this. So this is I suppose if you had like a family who likes to go in the mountains, you'll find these every now and then. They're rock cairns, or a cairn is another word for a pile of rocks. And those places, they're left undisturbed. I don't know about Crow's policy, but I know on the Salish, on the Flathead Reservation, they have a no dig policy. So if they find stuff, it's all on the surface, and they'll never go digging into the ground. But those things are evidence of a pastime, and that part of the story, it talks about he went into, he journeyed, he spent 4 days, 4 nights. But it says very specifically that he had, oh yeah, he stayed within a circle of rocks by a fire. So that's called a fasting bed, that structure.
Okay.
And those are the things that, like, the tribal preservation offices on reservations, they'll find those things, and then they mark them, they know where they're at, and they just get left undisturbed. And so they're found in the Bighorn Mountains. You can find those in the Bighorn Mountains, those piles of rocks. But yeah, that's a pretty important spiritual part of the culture, I guess, or religious, spiritual. I'm going to say spiritual.
Yeah. How did you connect your artwork? I know specifically you just really had some really beautiful pictures. Like for example, this I just think is so neat. and you want to draw on your connections of the land and accounting coup. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so that one, I don't remember. I was reading back through this yesterday just to remind myself. The land is so different on eastern Montana, but these are the kind of mountains that I know it's like a very familiar landscape, and it's like the further north that you go, the land gets a little flatter. Because I know, like, up there in Alberta, they have tornadoes. The land is so flat. But I tried to make it reminiscent of eastern Montana and mountains, and then the mountains that are there in Crow Country.
Mhm.
I think they have a very I can't even think, it makes you feel like at home, like a very familiar feeling, like or comfort. It's like a comforting feeling, like you know you're at home when you see like a certain landscape, right? I think everybody kind of has a place like, oh yeah, this is home. You'll
Yeah.
see something, and there's nothing like it, that feeling. And so I tried to, for me, when I ever go on that side of Montana, that's what I really love. And the whole concept of big sky, um, I feel like it's more open than ever, because in Salish country, there's a lot of mountains and you can't look out far. I mean, it's always mountains. Oh, you're always in a valley. Also, I feel like I try to incorporate like a lot of the sky. Like I feel like because it's so open, you do get to see a lot of the spectrum of the colors of the sky, a lot more on a daily basis. You get to see, beautiful sunrise, beautiful sunset, or beautiful clouds, just like humongous clouds. And other than that, I just tried to depict what would be either morning or evening. I like that. I like the way that the colors shine on the landscape like that. And then this is describing, they left out a part of the story that that describes this, because it was like a page that they talked about. I think it's on this page right here. Yeah, this wasn't what the prompt was that I was given, because it said something like he talked to his friends, and then these girls were listening, like they were there, and he was telling his friends what they were gonna do. And this is what he was told, like, I'm gonna dress like this, but you guys have to do that too. You guys have to dress like me too. And then that's what's gonna make us more powerful. And then we're gonna go do this. We're gonna go get this horse. So that's what I was trying to that's what I was trying to depict. And then I noticed like it worked out really good, because the other artists had the same understanding of what that imagery was. I was like, oh, that's super cool.
Very cool. I'm very amazed by your work. I think it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing so much about Elk Morning Council's first coup. I guess, my last question is, do you have any words of wisdom for young artists out there?
Yeah, just off of my experience, education is pretty important. I wouldn't be able to, even though I had a late start, I wouldn't be able to do any of the decision making, or I wouldn't have any background knowledge that I do if I didn't take this very windy path to get to where I was trying to be in life. But I don't regret any of the past education that I've ever had, but I would have wished to pursue art as soon as I got done with high school. I would have wished to do that. And I think the passion and the love that I have for doing those things in my life, like I bead every day. And when I'm not beading, I think about what I'm going to be beading. Like it's there, like it's always there. And they say that about other things too. Like if you sing, if you wake up and the first thing you do is you sing, I mean, it's there, it's in your heart. And everybody has something there in their heart. And I think following that, you'll never go wrong with that. And so I just really encourage people to follow their dreams. I know there's a lot of pressure, especially for Indigenous children, to go off and accomplish something and bring it back to help. And if that's what you want to do, then do that, but if your whole heart is in this other thing, you can't go wrong with that. Like it will also get you to where you want to go. It will also get you to turn around and be able to help people. And it might even be, the thing that allows you to help people sooner in life. But yeah, just the whole motto I fall back on is just to follow your dreams, and you'll be pretty happy if you do that. I don't want to say you'll be happier, but you'll be pretty happy following your dreams. It will definitely have good rewards for you. So
Well, you serve as an inspiration to me, and I thank you for your thoughts, and I thank you for taking the time to be interviewed today. And I definitely am up for following more of my dreams now. So thank you so much for your time, Miss Salisha. It really means a lot, and I appreciate that kindness. So what should I do? Just stop recording? Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to stop recording.
all right, thank you.